Paula, Adam,
Michael had
Jane.
already signed the other one.
How many of them old fire tickets? Oh, thank you.
Third, I know that too.
The two that we brought, so.
Oh, at all? Usually he's here by
I
now.
was to say, usually
He's usually punctual.
pretty good about that stuff. I say
you want me to
usually,
try
I
and
don't know
call him?
how well.
Sure,
I'll try and
if you
call.
want to, then at least we know whether we need to wait or not.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'll try and get a hold of him. Hold on.
Am I right?
Hey, Brian. What are you doing? Oh, okay. We were calling to see if you were going to make it to finance committee, and apparently you are financing, but you're financing yourself. Okay, where are you staying? Hey, that's nice.
We're down two.
Well, you were
All
busy,
right.
so. All right. Thank you. Good luck. Right, he's in Vegas.
I hear.
Weird. Well, it's just us then.
Well, at least this way we know for sure.
I know, I'm like, oh, who's not answer? Nothing.
Cause he's usually here, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he usually comes for like a 1 minute too.
Okey dokey.
All right, we can still have a meeting though.
We have enough.
Yep. Just one of you has to run it.
It's up to you.
That's all you.
All right, well, let's just get the show on the road and get it done.
Yeah.
Any public comments? Yay, nay? Chirp, chirp. Okay, we got crickets. We're good. I make a motion, approve the minutes.
Second.
Boom, done. Items of business. Survey of city-owned properties.
So I know it's hard to believe, but the last couple of days, I've been getting a lot of calls about two of our properties. People wanting to build things.
That's good then.
So we have the Treat Street Park, and to my knowledge, we've not had that survey. Do you ever remember that?
You
Dave?
know, I think Bendel and I found one of the stakes years ago, but it was never officially surveyed.
I mean, I think.
And I know
surveyed.
that, remember when we had the problem with the tree up there? We had a lot of issues trying to figure out where our property was.
Well, we found the one stake when we put the fence up, and that was the only one.
So
we found.
I'm wondering if it would be worthwhile to survey that one and the elevator property. Because I've had another person inquire about building there, and I feel like a survey would be helpful.
Yeah, I think
I-
it would be.
yeah.
I mean, then it would be on file and then it would be there until
It'd be
something happened.
current. I mean, we've looked for an hour or so today in the office, like trying to figure out the boundaries, because I have somebody that is interested in building something there, and I mean, I know that's what we want ultimately, sounds like, so. I was just kind of looking for, see if you guys thought maybe it'd be worthwhile to invest.
What do you think?
I missed the last part of that. I'm sorry.
If you guys want to make a recommendation to the city council that we, look for a survey or hire those two
To
surveys
get them
out.
surveyed?
Okay,
I think we should.
Okay.
at the very least, have them surveyed if people want to buy.
Right, I mean, that website, if we do end up getting somebody who wants to build something there, then we
Yeah.
would have the survey done, so
So
that
that-
would be helpful for us.
It would speed up the.
We're not gonna be
process.
able
It would
to sell it or even partner with somebody to put an improvement on it if we don't have a survey.
Exactly, it's a mandatory thing. I think we just.
So that'll be an action item for tonight?
Yep.
Okey dokey.
Recommend. Do I have to make a motion to recommend, put it,
Sure.
Let's get it all official.
oh.
I'll second your
Oh.
motion.
I think you just made it.
Yeah.
You seconded
I
it.
second, so
It
it is now the law of the land.
is.
Boom. I decree. I'm having too much fun with this. All right, marijuana review. That should be a good.
That's revenue.
Oh,
Oh,
revenue, so the.
revenue.
income
I
of-
thought-
okay.
review,
Did
revenue.
you guys all see on the news that all the cities got their money and yada, yada, yada?
no,
I
I
don't
haven't
watch
seen that,
the
to be
news.
honest. with
Okay,
you.
good, because we got bunches of calls that it was on the news, so.
I didn't see,
Yeah.
and I watch local news for the weather.
I do not.
So, but then again, it's out of Flint, what I get, because we got Direct TV. So I would assume it'd probably be the news out of Lansing that would be talking more about Winesburg and marijuana revenue than out of Flint.
So it's $56,453.44.
That's how much the city made?
That's how much the city got. Any municipality or any, city or village or township that has a commercial approved operating licensure. So last year, the city's got like 23,000, I want to say.
But this year's roughly 56.
Right, but we weren't in last year because we didn't have one open
It's
open
official, yeah.
at the time.
Right.
So now we qualified for this year's and it's 56,000. We already got the check.
Okay, so theoretically then, if we were to have another establishment, we would get more.
You get that much per establishment. So Kalkaska's got 7 of them, they get 7 times 56,000.
Good for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a
And so
good,
there is an actual list on the state's website of who got what funding.
so that's a good argument that we should have another one. You would think.
So, and I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that, but,
Oh, good, because I'm gonna run them now.
so,
No, I am. I've decided I'm gonna run for reelection after I wasn't going to.
oh,
I want to defeat the dispenser on one dispensary. So
there you go.
I have my mission in life.
Well, there you go. So that 56,000, I mean, we got several calls, one from News 10, one from the Argus, and they were like, oh, we heard the city's getting 100 and some odd thousand. And I'm like, no, go to the state's website. Here's the document. And, they're like, well, what's the city gonna do with it? So that'll be the next
We can
question.
pay to survey our properties. We can.
We
Does it have
did-
to
we-
go to a certain thing or is it?
We
just-
did Dave's Dream Zone of the park down on the Looking Glass River. I mean, that gets.
I mean, and then, you guys could say, we're gonna restrict the marijuana money for X, Y, and Z. We're gonna put it in parks. We're gonna put it in the police department. I mean, you can do.
Is it just in a general fund right now?
Correct. And
And it
so,
doesn't have a specific, like, has to go here.
correct.
I think it would probably be best just to leave it there in case an emergency happens. That way you can use it, quickly
Right.
rather
I
than
mean-
having. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm just saying
And-
that is something that should come up in conversation at some
Yeah.
point, is that, and one of my concerns would be, don't set yourselves up to pay a regular bill with it, because you don't
It could vary.
know
Well,
when it's gonna stop or when
what
it
if-
could change.
It's
Right?
just a thought. What if it like is set aside for court fees for the stuff we're going through right now with it? I don't know. I'm just
Right,
set it there and hang out with it.
Well, that's our insurance covers any court fees now, I would think. The city
does it?
insurance doesn't it?
we haven't had a lawsuit or any court fees.
Right.
So,
But if there was towards that, it would be,
Right. but we also get the licensure fee that we charge them for re-licensing, which was 3,500. Original license was 10.
what if we put it to like, it's just throwing it out there, like paramedics.
Yeah.
I would love to pay for paramedics.
But legally, can we do that?
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we might be able to help, but, because we're in an agreement with Scioto Woodhull and
Oh, yeah.
that we would have to, like, I mean, that's all part of the agreement. Everybody pays equally.
Mhm.
So if we all agreed we were gonna put our marijuana money towards,
Who's got more? Is it all just one? You
We're
know,
the only
yeah,
one
it's
right
okay.
now.
Oh, okay.
so, but anyway, that was, I just kind of wanted, because that has come up in the office, we've got some calls. I want to make sure everybody knew that's what that number was, and it is in the budget. We received it, but we did not budget for it, and we will budget for it next year.
I don't really recommend doing anything with it. I mean, I think just
Just leave
let
it in
it
general
be right
fund for
now.
now.
Yeah.
When the newspaper calls me, I will tell them. that-
Finance committee said we're gonna sit on it. Be a little nest egg.
There you go. So. that's
I'll
what I
make a
said.
motion, it becomes a nest egg and stays in the general fund.
Second.
There we go. All right.
So that's a recommend, so those are things you guys would take to council.
Yes.
That's a recommendation.
So we have 2 action items tonight.
All right, so now we're down to the council.
Review items, yeah.
So on the city council agenda, was there anything you wanted to discuss? You want me to just kind of go through each item and we got time, so. We've got the public hearing for consumers energy franchise ordinance. Everybody gets what that is, right?
Maybe. You could do it quick.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
I remember looking through it, but yeah, just.
Basically, in order to work in our right of way, consumers energy has to have some kind of an agreement with us.
Okay.
And this is just, I mean, the one we have is 30 years old. And apparently they expire after 30 years, so.
Imagine that.
I mean, and I honestly wouldn't have known that. They sent it to
Right.
us and said, and then I looked at it, compared it to what we already have, and I mean, it's almost identical to what we have
Okay.
now.
So it's just updating. It's not really
Yep.
changing.
Yep,
fixing
it just
things
kind of
like that.
puts in, our charter says that if we are gonna enter into any kind of a franchise agreement, that all of these things have to be in there. And so all of those things are in there. I checked it against the charter. And so what they're requesting that we approve is, it's legal.
What we've already approved in the
Yep.
past,
Got
it's
it.
just continuing the same old, same old.
Yes, so, that's all that is just, but, so this, tonight, we're just having a public hearing on that. See if anybody has any problem with us having a franchise with Consumers Energy. I think, I mean, I think that maybe in areas where you have more than one energy company, it's contested or something,
Right.
but, I mean, we don't have a
We're so
lot of,
small.
I don't even know that we have any choice in the matter, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have,
Yeah, but it does, if something ever did go wrong with the relationship with us and consumers, like if they were tearing up our roads and doing something they shouldn't be, that would be a document that we could go back to and have some
Right.
legal strength to clear up the situation.
got it.
So, tonight we'll have the public hearing, and then next month, you guys can approve the language, then it would be published, and then the next month it would become law. Rules, whatever.
Crazy
Yeah.
because I'm used to like, you want something done, you just do it. But it comes to city council, it takes like months and months and months. You have to do
Oh,
it
yeah.
I'm not used to that at all.
And
I'm
it's
like, oh, okay,
and
that's
it's
what,
because you see what happens when we don't get everybody's opinion,
yeah.
then.
I mean,
so-
everyone was,
Right, but
with
we
this
give,
thing, they're like, wait, what are you doing? We're like, seriously, we've just like showed one paper.
you just started the conversation, and that's what,
So,
I think.
I'm
what-
totally getting used to,
I
at
feel
first I
like
was
once
thrown off.
everybody got on the page that we were actually, that was what we were doing, was
Mhm.
starting that conversation. I think that went a lot better. but-
Absolutely.
So next is the DDA ordinance language amendment. So we've been going through the process of updating the downtown development plan. And that was all approved and all that, but within the charter, there's an ordinance that covers the DDA plan. And so now we have to approve the ordinance, which is amending the old ordinance stating that we've updated the plan. And that's pretty much all that is. So tonight, we're gonna introduce what that language looks like and schedule a public hearing for May. Make sense?
Mhm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And then we're gonna introduce the 22-23 preliminary budget. So, I can go through the rest of this and then we can just go back to the budget and talk through anything you guys saw in the budget you want to talk about. Does that work?
Yeah,
So, on Doyle Road, we had, the apartments hook up to the city sewers. They've always, so out on Doyle Road where what we've always called Cribs Apartments,
mhm,
across from the golf course down that way.
by Lee's.
They have, always been hooked to a private, septic system. But that failed. And the county told them that they had to hook up to the city sewer system.
Okay.
So their hookup fee is $20,000. And he wants to know if he can pay over 18 months. And so I don't have the authority to enter into an agreement with him like that. So I'm asking for the council's permission to enter into an agreement to authorize him to pay us over 18 months.
I mean, that should be fine, you know?
I mean, but I think that the right thing to do is to bring that to you guys so
Oh,
that
yeah.
you guys
Yeah, rather
can.
than just do it.
Yeah, and that way, if he doesn't pay or something, everybody's aware of what's going on, and I'm gonna have
The
C2A.
owner has to pay?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, and then they, they collect rent and they'll collect the user fee, probably. But the owner is $600 a month to be hooked to the sewer, it's
Okay.
20,000 to hook up, so. It's $2,500 per tap in, and you think, well, it's an apartment building, that's one tap in, but he's tapping in 8 units.
Yeah.
So if you built 8 houses, each house would have to pay the 2,500. And our ordinance states.
I
that-
mean, I think that would be fair, because we don't want to jeopardize his business that's in town and.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's fine with paying the 20,000, he just wondered if he could pay it over a year and a half, which I thought was reasonable.
I think that's
So,
reasonable.
I mean, another option would be to do a special assessment and then put it on his taxes, but he's willing to do this. I think we should enter into an agreement, and
Mhm.
so that's what I'm looking for on the city council tonight. Agenda is to authorize that.
Okay.
Movies in the park, we've kind of been working with a couple of groups, and we're getting somewhere with the
Good.
groups, maybe somebody wants to take it on.
I don't.
Well, it's looking like maybe,
I love
maybe
being
like
part
a-
of it, but I don't
maybe like
wanna
a
do it.
sports group
Yeah.
and their coach, running it. And so, our thought was that, we would pay them for running the movies either by the summer or so much per movie, but they had to do the whole summer in order to get paid. But,
Do you? think-
original thought was that maybe we would just have them collect the concession so they could keep it. But I feel like it would be more fair or consistent to just pay them. We buy the concessions, we get the money back from the concessions,
And then.
teaches them how to sell and do that stuff, and then they
And then
can,
they get paid for what.
yep.
Um,
And I think I would be okay too if they have a bucket, if it's the football team or the soccer team or the
Yeah,
band or
absolutely.
whatever.
Yeah, if anybody wants to contribute.
Yeah,
Donations.
they can take donations.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think an issue would arise? Was Jody paid? I don't know.
She was not. She was
Right,
volunteer.
do you think that there would be an issue?
Well, at this point.
I mean,
if we
at this
don't-
point, we want to take.
Right, but at this point, I mean, if the issue arises, I don't really know what to say about that.
I know.
Because it will likely die if we don't pay someone to do it, correct?
Right,
And
I
Or
understand that, yeah.
we could all-
What issues can arise?
I don't know,
She
I'm
wasn't
just
paid.
saying,
But she was
If-
offered, Brian offered in one of our council meetings. and she
Okay.
refused, so.
okay,
But I mean, last summer we
Glad you
did,
had with my right.
but last summer we did.
No, that's
pay,
important,
My daughter.
Yeah, if she
to help
if she
Jody.
refused it, then she shouldn't have a say now.
And so that was, I feel like she did get paid, $10 an hour or whatever to help. It wasn't a lot, but, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just throwing it out there.
and the thing is the city would probably pay us to do it, but I don't think any of us really want to be here till midnight. And then,
It makes a long Wednesday and a hard Thursday morning.
yeah. So, I mean, I think that what we're looking for is a group that will take this over and do it.
I mean, I totally.
And
think
maybe
it's
this
fine
year,
one, but yeah.
but maybe this year we're paying somebody to do it, and then after that, we'll say, okay, you take on the concessions, but I mean, the concessions really, they don't make a lot of money. They pretty much pay for themselves. They don't make a lot.
If people know that the people are getting it, they could pay more.
Right.
Cause I
So,
know at like the Mike Maury car show, if I was the concessions,
yeah.
they would tip a little extra or whatever,
Yeah. So I think we're still kind of working through how that's gonna look, but that's what we're talking about right now is maybe like the soccer team or something.
Has anybody stepped up or said anything, or
The soccer team.
they did?
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're kind of trying to make some contact with the coach right now. So
Who is the coach now?
Natalie Elkin.
Okay.
So that's kind of the council agenda. So as far as the budget goes, was there anything in there you had questions about? You want to go through the budget a little bit?
Are there any hot buttons you have on it?
There's a
Good
lot of
question.
money in here.
Well, but I mean, is there anything that jumps out at you is gonna be a concern?
No, I think that, Dave and I talked through a lot of the DPW stuff and we didn't have any, streets or sidewalks or parking lots really kind of picked out, but we looked at some of the funding we had and felt, of that, remember that capital outlay list that we had of all the assets and what it's gonna cost? So we put in there to do this parking lot and the one over on William Street. Cause we felt like within the budget that we had, cause we've been budgeting, I don't know, $5,000 or $10,000 a year for parking lots. We didn't use any last year. So we could do those two for like under 20,000, we were hoping. So, but the parking lot over there needs a major redo and the one behind the bar. So those are really gonna need a little more planning to get those taken care of. But we still need to figure out how we're gonna do that. And since, that whole Crescent Drive thing that's up in the air a little bit, that we kind of want to figure out what we're doing there before so we didn't really plan a street project right now. And then, I think Dave and I are gonna work on getting that capital improvement plan ready to try to bond for some projects for next year. And then we'll just make budget amendments if the bonding comes through early enough. So this page right here, I'll just kind of, because Dina's new, just kind of go through this page a little bit. At the top, like it says, city operating road, all of those total mills. So those are the city millage rates that are authorized by the electors to charge.
Mhm.
And that city operating is authorized for 20, but because of the Headley rollback, it's been rolling back every year. So it just keeps getting lower.
Got it.
So when people say we raise our taxes, that really is getting lower every year. But that number is right now just estimated because while we have to have our budget done by the third Monday in May, that's about the same time the assessors have to have everything ready. So sometimes those numbers are just not 100% yet. So we don't know what our rollback is.
Got it.
So that number is pretty close to what it'll be, but hopefully by next month we'll have that solidified. The road millage is exactly what it needs to be times our value to cover the road bond that we currently have.
Got it.
So the payment is, for the roads, the payment is 65,000 something, and we're collecting 64, 848, 72, something like that.
Yeah.
So we, just multiply it out to figure out what that is. And the max that can be is 2.6, and we're only charging 1.88. So, library and fire, those both roll back. And the ambulance special is based on 1 mil times the taxable value. But we have a max of 1.1182. And it's supposed to equal the same as the fire, but one's calculated with personal property taxes and one's calculated without it. So the ambulance ends up being just a little bit higher.
Got it.
Our total taxable value is 34,494,000, which means 1 mil gets us $34,000. So you take that 34 and you divide it by 1,000, And then you times it by the millage rate anytime you want to figure out what the revenue
Got
is. So then we got some money coming in for the city operating is 500,000. Road bond 64, library 32. And then if you see the next two columns over for the library and the fire, the DDA is allowed to capture those funds. And they have been capturing them for years. So that money comes right off the top of what we collect and goes to the DDA.
Okay.
Because these are the cities and the DDA is allowed. We asked them not to collect on our road bond because then we can't pay it back and they agreed. And then the ambulance special is not included because it's a special.
Got it.
So that's where the revenue side comes from. So that shows you how we're gonna bring in our money and where it's coming from. And that's what supports our budget.
Mhm.
On the next page is just kind of some highlights. We are gonna do MERS again, and that just keeps going up because interest rates are going down, so money isn't growing like it's supposed to, so people can't retire when they need to. So the premiums just go up. So computers, we are on a rotating system for replacing computers. Next year, the DPW and the police each get one. Building improvements, Dave's gonna put in one more 2-meter, so it's not a duplicate. Looks like I duplicated last year, but it's the same thing, it's just one more money this year. Inside the front office, we're gonna do a little painting and touch up. And then and remember, these are all just proposed items, so you guys don't wanna do it, you don't have to, so the option that we would like to see here is that we have to replace that door.
So it shuts.
Yeah, because it broke. Remember when you guys came in that one night, or maybe you weren't here, but I mean, the door broke. The glass was coming out, right?
Oh, I didn't see
Like the
that.
whole bottom was off the door. So
The outside one?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was bad.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't here for that.
So
Yeah.
I recommended, since we have to replace it, that maybe we should think about putting the ADA opener on it. Because we don't have one.
Right.
And Dave got looking at it, and the price for the ADA opener is $2,500. But we included it in the budget, and you guys can decide whether you want to leave it just like that or add an ADA opener, because we still have to replace the door. The library has requested some work to the front of their building, so Dave's looking at cleaning it, doing some sealing on the windows, repair, paint, just kind of some little facade. And then we budgeted to relocate that sound rack from the library
So it's
to
here.
here. That's $10,000
Wow,
to move that over here.
that's crazy.
That's a lot of money.
Do you want me to get a wheelbarrow? I can do it. No, I'm just kidding. You give me $5,000, I'll go get it.
The worst part is the boring to get this, so, maybe that's something we don't want to do. Maybe we just want to leave it over there. I mean, somebody's got to decide if you want that in the budget or you don't. So I would.
Why
think-
is it so much? I mean, more detailed. It's,
Well, it was, I don't know, I don't have the numbers right from, it was like 3,400 or something to move the thing over here. But then we have to underground bore to get
Oh,
power.
that was like 6, right?
to their,
Because
that,
we'd have to
okay.
bore from here to where the connection is in the park.
Oy.
And either way, if we wanted to hook it to the park, we would have that boring situation.
Correct.
Correct?
Which is something that we discussed numerous times anyway.
Right, so that's what
Okay.
that's the sticker price of doing that.
Boy.
At the park, we want to redo that asphalt path. Still looking at a new movie screen. And then we also got some people that want pickleball. We need some little wood chips and that kind of thing. Bates Park, we're looking at trash cans at the ball fields. And then Dave wanted to do some maintenance on the driveway out there. Then there's some stuff that Dave wants, that pretty much that next list is stuff he wants. The other stuff is not stuff he wants, the sidewalk repairs. But
They still need to be done though.
he's looking at a side by side, so you guys nobody's talking about, right? Like something with a broom on it and a blade to do the sidewalks with, right?
Yeah.
The path, the sidewalks. And we're estimating that about 20,000. The cab for the John Deere. Which if you get the side by side with the cab and all that on it, do you need the cab for the John Deere?
No.
Oh, huh. We didn't think about that the other day. The bucket truck, we still haven't found one. And then you can explain to them the cold storage you want, if you want.
What I'm looking at is we have some rafters out in the back room that we've had for years, and we just want to put up like a 3-sided cold storage at the lagoon area that in the summertime can store our blades and stuff in there that would be under shelter, but not necessarily inside. And in the winter, it would be a place we could put the leaf back and stuff that doesn't
big?
necessarily need to be in heat, but it needs to be out of the elements, so it's not fading.
Yeah.
How big is it? Would you suggest?
Um,
6,000.
The rafters that we got would be approximately like a 20 by 20. Nothing real big, but
Enough to hold.
yeah.
So what else we got on there? Just a little backpack blowers, couple, we need some tires for some equipment, and they're talking about doing, it was on this year's, but it hasn't been done yet, so we just rolled it over to next year to do that sidewalk on Grand River. We talked about, I mean, Dave and I kind of talked about, like, last year, we, found that we have some spots that need to be fixed, and we have places that have no sidewalk, and then, so what do we want to do first? We want to fix bad spots, do we want to add new sidewalk, and between us, we kind of feel like we should fix the bad spots
I
first.
feel like that would be
Before we
logical
start
too.
adding new, we should fix what we
Yep,
have.
so
I
we're
agree.
We're thinking before we put in new sidewalk in places that have none, that we should start repairing the bad spots.
I agree.
So
Cause there's
that's-
some like over on, like, by Bob Brown's across the street where it's just terrible, but to put a new sidewalk somewhere would be like, why didn't we just fix that first? Yeah. I
So
see.
that's our game plan, is to just start repairing some of those spots.
That makes sense to me.
So. And then at the sewer lagoons, we've been talking about generators for the lift stations, and they're $60,000 each. We do
That's
have-
not cheap.
But we do have money in the sewers that need to be used. But I did hear something today that, I don't know if it was the governor or if it was something with ARPA funds or what it was, but it was on the webinar I had at lunchtime, and it was something about their setting money aside for these backup generators for lift stations.
That
Yeah,
would be awesome.
So I got an email into Adam, and then I was gonna get on the MML website and follow up, see what exactly that funding source is.
Cool.
so-
Yeah, that would be nice.
So that was good news today. And then there's a portable pump on a trailer that we need for $80,000. And then we were just gonna double check with the CIP plan and make sure that there wasn't anything else that we needed to do from that CIP plan. Cemetery, still trying to get that shed out there repaired and maintained. And then works for the John Deere for lifting headstones,
Mhm.
when we gotta fix foundations and stuff like that.
We just little bold on, I mean, that little John Deere's not going to cut much weight anyway, so something to slide underneath there. Because as it fills up, there's times when we have to move headstones just to begin to dig the hole, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Cremation heat box. So. Then I already talked about the road work that we really haven't, we don't have anything like major plans there. Dave's looking at a ditch on Woodbury Road. I do know that, we have that capital outlay plan that has like drainage issues prioritized. Not sure where this falls into that, and if it should have landed on the road project or
Right.
what, so, but that's the number Dave came up with on that one. I told you about parking lots. Dave wants to do some of the globes and the light poles. Plan on buying a new police vehicle next year, plus continuing to budget. We just budget 10,000 a year, so that gives us enough money to pay for one.
Right.
Bulletproof vests again. Then the rest is just kind of, I don't know, you know. We've been collecting that road mill, believe it or not, for 9 years now. Yep. The first time we did it is when we redid all the roads and stuff, and we've done a lot with it, so. We've been collecting the library mill for 11 years. And then, so basically all that money that, that 25, 30,000 that goes to the library was coming out of our general fund. So it freed up money for us to be able to leave that money in the
Right.
general fund and collect a specific mill for the library.
Nice.
Yep. So in 2025, we'll have to redo the ambulance and the fire millages. And then I put on there about the local licenses for the marijuana. The next is the payments that we currently have. That's the debt that we currently have.
It's such a cute little name, a little one.
And then we have a 425 agreement with Scioto Township, and we pay them 2 mils for the taxable value that's on those parcels. And then, of course, everything else is just kind of like, the next thing is all the good things we did.
Yeah. see all the accomplishments.
I like that, it's kind of
Well,
nice.
no, that's a good idea,
A lot of times people, or I'll say, if I'm trying to write a grant, when did we put in those basketball hoops? And
Right.
I mean, so I kind of use that, and after a while, I take some off because
It's nice to see too that after seeing like budgeted, we look at all these things like, oh, do we want to do these? But then you look at the finished list and you're like, wow, that's really impressive. So
Yeah.
let's go back up there and read
Yeah,
it.
I mean, so that's why I do that, so that you
Yeah.
guys can realize that you are doing some things with those funds, and
No, that's important to do.
I think that the last thing is the just future plans, things we might, just throwing something out there that maybe somebody thinks of, they want to work on or whatever.
Marijuana could almost pay for the lift station.
But there's money for that in the sewer already, so we're good there. I think that one of the things we probably should look at is revising our city charter. A lot of our stuff is old and outdated. It's a big project though, real big. So,
It sounds fun.
I know. Of course, the next 20 pages or whatever are just like actual account numbers and what we have in them. It shows the first column is what we've had happen in the last year, and then this so far this year. And the next column is what our actual budget was. And then the last column is what we're requesting that you fund. And at the back of the general fund, on page 26 of the packet, it starts showing like the footnotes of all the things that we just talked about. That, we're gonna paint the office, so we're gonna put it in for, so it kind of.
Right.
And the nice thing about this new software we have is that all of that stuff is in there, so I can go and look and print this and check it off. And helps us know where to budget or to hit these things when the expenses come in, so. That takes us to, so then we have the major street, that's all balanced. And local street is balanced, and then cemetery, we would be spending $5,000 over what we bring in to accomplish those things that we talked about. So those projects would, if they come out of the cemetery fund, would actually just take away from the fund balance that's currently there.
Right.
So if you look at the treasurer's report, you'd be spending some of that money.
Got it.
This is grants, that's what, I think that's the recycling grant, that next one. Next one is the library. They balanced their budget. That one is grants. Oh, we're planning on that rental rehab project for Rich Hafner. Mhm. I don't know why I have too much money in there. Oh, one's expense, there we go. I got it balanced out, that one's balanced. And then this one's the bond payments, money coming in from the millage and money going out to make the payment equals 0. 508 is like money that we've taken in from the movie concessions and stuff, and we used to get sponsors for the movies, but now the DDA's been paying for it, makes it a lot easier. 590 is the sewer, and we would be spending 175,000 of that fund balance. The fund balance is like 400,000 right now, a little over. That's it.
That's it, nothing major.
That's all I got. Now you guys can explain the budget later.
Yeah. I'll spin around in the chair 3 times and then do it.
There you go.
Are all 3 of you guys gonna be over there and I'm gonna be here by myself?
Looks like it. We can move somebody.
You wanna come sit by me?
Gail's not gonna be here.
No,
Mm,
she's on vacation.
Oh,
Guys all done?
Yes, we're all, well, they haven't adjourned, but
Oh,
I make the motions.
second,
we're adjourned.
we're adjourned.
Oh, maybe I missed it. All right.